Hey guys, what's going on? Hermdo back with you with another episode of this show. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're having a good weekend. Um, I'm probably going to get laid off very soon, which sucks for me, but it's great for you because I'll have more free time to make videos. How I make money, I don't know, but that is something I want to talk about. Basically, um, like this idea living in America, one of the big frustrations these days from the people I talk to, people of all ages, especially young people like millennials and younger, the workplace is a big source of frustration for a lot of young Americans. We work long hours, we get less pay, there's inflation going crazy, wage stagnation is a real thing. It's a real big mess. There's all sorts of other aspects of it that are toxic and shitty, and it sucks. And you feel like you're never getting ahead, and you feel like your loyalty isn't being rewarded. At my place, we have insane turnover. A lot of people quit after the first week. I've been there for 2 years. I've put up with the bullshit for 2 years, and I'm just as likely to get my head cut off as people that have been there a fraction of the time I am. And maybe it's like some idea I have, some outdated idea I have that loyalty should be rewarded. Stupid me thinking that, actually trying to prove my worth to the company, my boss would appreciate me. Well, looks like I'm an idiot, but, you know, a lot of people are in the same boat these days. It really feels like things are totally screwed, to put it mildly. But, you know, I just don't know what to really do going forward. I remember I've had periods of my life where I was laid off for a few months. I could not find work. During the pandemic, I was off for a couple of months. It was a real pain in the ass. And now it's just like, I'm probably going to have to go on unemployment or take a job that pays a lot less. That's the thing that sucks. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. And I don't really want to make this channel like a channel that talks exclusively about that kind of crap, but I'll make whatever the hell videos I want to make. Who knows what I'll be talking about tomorrow? If I even make a video tomorrow. You people are lucky to get any hermdo at all. I tell you, you don't appreciate the sacrifices I make. But I was browsing Reddit. I know, cringe, but I did find some interesting articles in the r/slash anti-work subreddit. I don't know if I'm necessarily anti-work myself, as far as like I'm critical of capitalism, like a lot of people are becoming these days. A lot of people are rolling their eyes when like older Americans, older people talk about how, oh, capitalism's the greatest system ever. It lifts people out of poverty. It's the most fair system. It's blah blah blah, and people are kind of just like rolling their eyes at that, just like whatever you say, Gramps. But I found this article today. Toxic work culture is driving away 1 in 5 employees. It's a short article, but I thought it had some interesting. Um, Stop that video from being played. But it had some interesting points that they made, and I would like to get into it. From toxic relationships to toxic positivity to toxic masculinity. Toxic has become a catch-all term for anything that is deemed to be remotely negative, but a toxic workplace, in the truest sense, is a very real problem and is driving 20% of American workers to leave their current positions. In fact, in the 5-year period between 2014 and 2019, attrition attributed to toxic workplace culture came in at a cost of $223 billion to U.S. organizations. And this is before the pandemic, which they get into here. The Great Resignation. In the period of 2020 to 2022, more than 50 million Americans left their jobs without having a new one lined up, confident that their skills and ability would help them land a job that aligned with their values, offered better working conditions, for example, remote work, or higher pay. While the pandemic was the main driver for most of these workers, the Great Resignation isn't slowing down, and in October 2022 alone, 4 million people, which equates to 2% of the workforce, quit their jobs. These workers cited salary, no advancement opportunities, and feeling disrespected as their main reasons for doing so. Yeah, that's the thing. Salary's a big thing, but being stuck in a dead-end job where no matter how hard you work, you never get ahead. In the department I work at, I had to change departments at my work. I don't want to go into too many details. I don't want to bore you guys, but basically, I got a disability and it's difficult for me to do a certain kind of work. So I moved to a different department where the work was a little more less stressful. It was a little easier to do. And I've been in that department for a year and a half. I've been at the company overall 2 years now. And I have gotten one pay raise in the last year and a half. And they actually gave me a pay cut because my rate wasn't high enough, despite basically being loyal to the company over and over again. It was a big mess. I remember arguing with HR about it. I almost quit over it. I was so close just walking out. But I didn't because I'm a pussy. But yeah, that's the thing. You just like there's no way to get ahead. And people in this other department, the department I left, they're making a lot more money than we are. And but they're losing work too. They just laid off all of third shift. A lot of guys are getting their hours cut. We're getting our hours cut. It's a big mess right now. And honestly, I can't really pity the company too much because man, it's just so goddamn hard to get ahead these days. But yeah, that sucks. Just never being able to get ahead, busting your ass for essentially nothing, and being stuck in neutral and being disrespected too. That's another big thing. I've worked at jobs where they do not give a shit about you. They just treat you as a disposable worker drone. And so many places are like that. I've left job before going to another job thinking, hey, this will be different. Maybe the interview's good. Maybe the HR guy seems all right. Maybe you met a manager. He seems like a pretty laid back dude. But still, they don't give a fuck about you. It's the same everywhere. It's the grass isn't always greener. That's the thing. That's the thing. But let's get a little bit more into this article. But how can you spot a toxic leader or establish organizations? The organization you are working for is toxic, and everyone has different tolerance levels. When everyone has different tolerance levels, and one worker's toxic is another worker's tolerable. Okay. Systemic toxicity is a deeply ingrained in the way a company runs and how it treats its staff can manifest in various ways. Doesn't always show up as classic bullying, such as CEO yelling from their corner office. Toxic work, oh, the bullying, the yelling, the bullshit, the passive aggressive shit. Man, I've dealt with all of it. I've been in the workforce for over 20 years. I've dealt with all of it. It's just I see these young Gen Z guys, Gen Alpha's in the workforce. We got some Gen Alpha people working at my workplace. It's just like summer part time stuff, but it's just like they're just getting into the workforce. And it's just like, oh man, I just want to warn them. I just want to grab them and shake them and say, stop caring about skibbity toilet and focus on your future. Do something else with your time. You know, I don't know what these kids these days are even talking about, but I feel like an old. I'm 38. I feel like an old man. But toxic workplace culture can also present a lack of productivity, a negative can't-do attitude, or change or innovation, not respecting boundaries such as contacting staff outside the working hours, or a lack of trust between team members and colleagues. Now, this is some interesting stuff. They get into some interesting stats here on the last part of this article. Other symptom of toxic workplace is a lack of trust about mental health and well-being transparency. Yeah, your work can take a real toll on you. I remember a few years ago, I was working in this office and I had some real serious issues with my mental health at the time. I had to see some professionals, had to see some therapists. It was real scary for me for a while, but I remember I took some time off work and when I came back, it just was not good. It was just, I had a real problem. I was having panic attacks. I was horribly depressed. And a lot of that flowed from this kind of work because I worked around a lot of toxic, shitty people. And it was a problem. It was a problem. And I felt like at that point I was stuck there. But, nowadays, that was years before the pandemic. That was almost a decade ago now. And things really haven't gotten much better in a lot of respects. But let's get into some of these stats here. This is despite 77% of workers recording work-related stress, 31% sharing that they were experiencing emotional exhaustion, and 25% admitting they want to keep to themselves at work and not engage with coworkers. I know that feeling. Just kind of seal yourself off and don't talk to anybody. You don't want to be bothered. You don't want to put up with one of your douchebag coworkers bullshit, the bullshit drama. Everywhere is drama. I swear to God, you get all these 40, 50-year-old people acting like high schoolers. It's insane. It's crazy. You think at a certain point people would be willing to be more mature? Nope, never. We are very infantilized as a culture. I hope I'm using that word right. But additionally, two-thirds of those who took part in the surveys highlighted that their employer didn't promote a culture of taking breaks, and only 40% reported that their employer facilitates a culture of taking time off. Yeah, that's a real problem. If you're not getting your breaks, I mean, working 8, 9, 10 hours with only having like a half hour lunch. I remember I worked these 10-hour shifts. It was like 50 to 60 hours a week, and you get two 20-minute breaks on a 10-hour workday. And man, it's just not enough. It's just not enough. And we were lucky to get that. We didn't have an official lunch break. It's like I couldn't like you had to bring your lunch in. You couldn't go out to get lunch. You couldn't go out. They were weird about that. You know, they were weird about smoke breaks too. I remember getting an argument with my boss at the time. That job sucked so bad. It sucked so bad. Maybe I'll talk about it someday. Just go over the shitty jobs I've had. I've worked so many jobs. Some of them I really liked. I've had worked for some awesome people, but most jobs I've had have sucked. And a big reason for them sucking was because the boss was very conservative when it came to giving you time off. The obvious solution to a toxic workplace is finding a new job, but how can you ensure the next company you work for isn't just as bad as the one you're attempting to flee? Hey, just talked about this. A good tip is to conduct your own due diligence before accepting a job offer by contacting former employees via social media. One thing you should do. I remember I moved here about 2.5 years ago. The first job I had was dog shit. It sucked so bad. I was stuck working with this guy. He was like the shift supervisor. He was an absolute nightmare to work for, yelling, screaming, all this shit. And I lasted 3 days there before I quit. I'm surprised I even made it that long. But at the interview, everything seemed like rosy and peachy and amazing. And I didn't really get a good view of the work culture there until I actually started working there and I started interacting with some of the people around there, and what a nightmare it was. But I remember after I quit the job, I was just out of curiosity. I went to go check reviews of the place. You can Google reviews of these places. Lots of places, you can find it. You can, if you want to contact like ex-employees, maybe there's something like that on LinkedIn. I haven't used LinkedIn in like a decade, so I don't know. But I remember reading reviews for my old workplace, and it was like 2 out of 5 across the board. Everyone was saying that the place sucked. Like we had one guy that worked in the office, and he was saying the place was great, but everybody else, everybody on the floor, everybody who was a machinist or whatever, they said the place was dog shit. And I should have checked that. I should have done my due diligence before I I choose another job or I took that job. Um, a lot of people, they're desperate. They don't check in on that kind of stuff, but you definitely should. You definitely should. If you're looking for work and you want to make sure that you can work in a somewhat positive environment, if there even is such a thing in the modern working world. Um, they may ignore your unsolicited DM, but if you concisely stipulate that you were looking for information about the company, I would appreciate it. If they could share their experience, you should hopefully get a response back. Okay. And that's pretty much the end of it. So that's not bad advice to give, but try to find out as much as you can about these companies, before you decide to work for them. But speaking of which, I know we all hate Elon Musk here. I know Tesla is releasing shitty cars. The Cybertruck's a total rusty piece of shit that falls apart and, has a faulty brake pedal that could kill you. I don't think that's very wholesome chungus, but this is something interesting. Tesla rewards dedicated worker who showered at factory and slept in his car by firing him. Sat in my car in disbelief. I remember this one time I worked at this place for 2 weeks. It was a big deal to get hired in at this company because they very rarely hired people in. They did a lot of contract work, but I remember they hired me as a direct hire, and I remember people telling me how rare that was and how great this company was and all this stuff. And it was, I worked with two guys. One guy was really cool, and the other guy was like a passive aggressive douchebag, and I didn't like working with him. But it kind of balanced itself out. It was it was whatever. But I remember they laid me off after 2 weeks, and I remember just driving home, like I thought my boss was like joking with me. He's just like, oh yeah, we lost too much staff during the pandemic and profits and blah blah blah. I mean, I wasn't listening at that point. He told me, hey Tom, we're laying you off. So, or hey Hermdo, please don't tell anybody my real name. But um he's just like, yeah, we don't need you anymore. We don't have enough money to keep you on the books. And I'm just kind of like, I was like shocked. I'm like, what? There's always that moment, you know, some places you know the layoff is coming. Some places you can see it coming from a mile away. But then when they spring it on you like that, you're always just like, seriously? After 2 weeks? After 2 weeks, your bean counters couldn't decide whether or not I was going to fit in the budget. My salary was going to fit in the budget. Unreal, dude. These places are such jokes. Even these big companies like this. By his own account, Nico Murillo was a dedicated Tesla employee. Last year, the production supervisor didn't go home and instead slept inside his car in the factory parking lot and made microwave meals just so he could help meet product goals. In spite of that effort, earlier this month, Murillo got laid off, according to a viral LinkedIn post he wrote. Let's see if we can. Along with more than 10% of Tesla employees, about 14,000 workers across the world as part of a huge company shakeup. Yeah, this goes back to my earlier point. It doesn't matter how loyal you are, your head is on the chopping block too. It does not matter. But here's, oh god, do I have to sign in this shit? Get the fuck out of here. Anyways, oh here it is. Here it is right here. Let's read this. It's a little long, but this is Nico Murillo. This is the only reason to go on LinkedIn, by the way, just to read stories like this. LinkedIn is such blah. I don't want to get into it. This is what LinkedIn is. But anyways, 4:15 Monday, April 15th. 4:30 a.m. Opened my laptop. Account was deactivated. Thought it was just another IT problem, so I didn't think anything of it. 5 a.m. I usually check my emails while on autopilot commute to work. 1 hour, 30-minute drive. Email read, unfortunately, as a result, your position has been eliminated by this restructuring. 5:05 a.m. Texted my manager, but he said, everyone got it. We'll get more info later. 5:50 a.m. Tried to badge in, and the security guard took my badge and told me I was laid off. 6 a.m. Sat in my car in disbelief. Tesla timeline, July 22nd, 2019, April 15th, 2024. About 5 years at Tesla, half a decade. They don't care, man. They don't care. At one point in 2023, I was even sacrificing sleeping in my car on work days just to avoid commuting to work, showered at the factory, and slept in the parking lot, microwave dinner in the break room. Sacrificed a lot for the company, but this is the small part of a chapter that is ending, and there's a whole book waiting to be written. I'm only 29 years old and have a lot more career time in me. Well, good for him, keeping a positive attitude about it, even though he got screwed over. I try not to swear, but yeah, this is a lesson, a valuable lesson for a lot of guys to learn. This guy looks like he's probably an older Zoomer, younger millennial. I think they're around that 30 cutoff age of the generation, but a lot of young people see this kind of stuff. A lot of Zoomers and Gen Alpha are going to see this kind of stuff and be like, what's the point of putting in all this extra effort if the company is just going to see me as dead weight anyway? If like mismanagement and malfeasance is going to cost, is going to cost me my job. Mismanagement and malfeasance from the higher ups, if that kind of thing, if these companies are going to lay me off no matter how hard I work, if they're going to treat me as disposable no matter how hard I work, what's the point in going to work at all? And I have a lot of Zoomer coworkers, good guys, but they take a lot of time off and they really don't take shit from the management. They argue with the management all the time. I've seen a couple guys get fired because of it. But there's a big disconnect between like this old traditional like boomer idea of work and like the younger Zoomer idea of work and what work should be. And, the pandemic, the work culture after the pandemic, the way people just are really counter signaling, working for other people or being exploited by capitalism or what have you. I don't know if I necessarily want to use that kind of language, but let's read a little bit more of this. I'm rambling. Sacrifice for the company. Oh, yeah, right. I went from production associate to lead production associate to being a production supervisor, starting at the very bottom, worked my way up. Learned a lot of adapting to the ever-changing environment, to working with less but getting more done. In the middle of my career, when I was a lead, I met the most funny and humble supervisor named Louis Afusia. Louis taught me about delegating, following up, and finishing through. He used to tell me, listen to people, not against them. I even played semi-pro football with him one spring season, but he taught me a lot about leadership, and I'm glad to have him met him in my career in Tesla. He's a huge Samoan USO that had a good heart. Louis passed away on February of 2023. He's gone but not forgotten. How you make something last forever is to inspire the next generation and then the next. Always leave the place better than you found it. Okay, la 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 la. We get it. But yeah, but this goes into a little bit more about Tesla's woes. Another Tesla employee in the comments had a similar experience of sleeping at a company factory. I started as a production associate. Oh, and after putting in the work, learning different positions and skills in different departments across 3 different factories, sacrificing sleep and staying in my car in the parking lot, showering, heating up dinner in the microwave, similar to you. I got a position at Has Waste Tech, wrote Diego Jet. And the same day I started the position, I got an email. I started that position. I got the email. My position had been terminated. Another former worker was laid off after they uprooted their entire family for the job. Ouch. Yeah, that's putting it mildly. Mass layoffs happened at Tesla due to downturn in global sales and profits. CEO Elon Musk saying in a company memo that it was needed due to duplication of roles and job functions in certain areas. Oh boy. The layoffs have been an overall mess for Tesla, which is to cancel separation agreements for some former employees because they received incorrect severance packages. There's no telling when the bleeding will stop for Tesla, but hopefully its former workers will land on their feet and maybe with some work-life balance this time. Hopefully. I wish nothing but the best for all the laid off people. Good luck out there. I hope you find something you enjoy doing, or hell, just live on unemployment for a few months. That's probably going to be what I'm going to do. But I found this. Actually, Tesla's laying people off left and right. Their product launches are disasters. Twitter is a disaster. Elon is letting some really awesome people back on the website lately. But anyways, I did think this kind of goes with the last story. Tesla's board of directors asked shareholders to approve a $47 billion compensation package for CEO after laying off 10% of its workforce. Yep. They're New York Times. Let's see if we can read this. Hopefully it's not paywalled. Oh, get out of here. God, leave me alone. Tesla seeks to revive Musk's $47 billion pay deal after judge says no. Company's directors asking shareholders to again approve the multi-billion. My cat's here. Hello, kitty. To move the company registration to Texas from Delaware. Facing criticism that is overly beholden to Elon Musk, Tesla's board of directors said on Wednesday that it could essentially give him everything he wanted, including the biggest pay package in corporate history. Of setbacks in court and the car market have induced any soul searching among Tesla's board. There's no sign of it in the latest announcement. If anything, the board doubled down on backing Mr. Musk, Tesla's chief executive, risking riling up activist investors and more litigation. The board's decision to ask shareholders to endorse a compensation plan for Mr. Musk that is worth about... Get out of here. He's getting tangled in the wires. Yeah. Okay, I'm petting you. Okay. Sorry. To endorse compensation package must worth about $47 billion came less than 3 months after a Delaware judge voided the same 10-year pay package. The judge said it was excessive and the company had failed to properly disclose details about it to shareholders who approved it in 2018. Tesla will now provide shareholders more information about how the plan was devised and ask them to approve it again. That vote will take place as investors are increasingly worried about the electric car company because its sales are declining and its stock... Will you get the hell out of here? Look at this guy. Look at this guy. No, actually, no. I don't want to pick him up. He might scratch me. He's a weird cat. Get out of here. I'm busy. Sorry. This is a serious topic. We have to be serious now. We're not messing around here. But anyways, Tesla will now provide shareholders more information about how the plan was devised and ask them to approve it again. That vote will take place. I lost my place. The vote will take place as investors are increasingly worried about the electric car company because its sales are declining and its stock has fallen more than 1/3 this year. In addition, Mr. Musk has not presented much of a plan to restore the company's momentum. Greg Varallo, a lawyer who represented shareholders in the Delaware case, declined to comment Wednesday on steps his team might take, but the board's action is likely to prompt more lawsuits against the company, which is under legal pressure from regulators, customers, and people who say they have been victims of faults in Tesla's driver assistance system. Okay, hi. He's inspecting me. Driver assistance system. 2 days before the move to restore Mr. Musk's status as one of the world's richest people. Tesla told employees it would lay off 10% of its workforce, or about 14,000 people. The optics certainly don't look good, says Jason Schlotzer, an associate professor at Georgetown University's McDonough School of Business who studies corporate governance. Let's take a look at this other. Tesla settles lawsuit over a fatal crash involving autopilot. They want me to log in. We'll just whatever. No, thank you. I'm not signing up for any of this crap. Okay. 2 days before the move to restore. Oh wait, sorry, I read that already. Sorry. The optics certainly don't look good. I read that already. Sorry. There's no sign. This damn cat's distracting me. That Tesla's board is trying to exert tighter control over Mr. Musk, whose endorsement of right-wing conspiracy theories has alienated many potential customers. Oh yeah, all that Alex Jones, Andrew Tate, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes shit. I don't know why, if you're a multi-billionaire, here's my cat, say hello to him. Okay. Well, you... All right. Get. Sorry. On the contrary, in documents filed Wednesday for shareholders meeting in June, the board signed that it stood firmly behind Mr. Musk. So yeah, people are all in with this guy. Pretty much let him do whatever the hell he wants, even though the company's, I know he's still making a whole ton of money, but this is really a mess. These guys are still loyal to him, and yeah, they're going down with the ship, I guess. I don't know how long it's gonna take. I mean, is Tesla really in trouble? Is this really gonna screw Elon over? I don't know, but let's look at some of these Reddit comments. I think shareholders should demand the entire board be fired and replaced. Who in their right mind thinks Musk brought 47 billion of value to Tesla? 47 million, sure. Tesla lifetime profits 34 billion, and that is ignoring all years unreported losses. But sure, let's pay the guy 47 billion for 1 year worth of work. This post you responded to was too generous, thinking even 47 million. I mean, golden parachutes and everything, but Tesla is just taking L's. If they had a real board, Tesla would be CEO shopping a while ago. Asking for more money is insanely detached from reality. They're handing him one whole Twitter as compensation for a terrible year. Yep. Can you imagine any other CEO keeping their job after publicly posting that white people need to have more babies to compete with people of color? Oh boy. Naughty racists. Oh, I had to play that. But yeah, it just goes on and on. Oh, Lord have mercy. What a goddamn mess this is for Musk. Holy shit, dude. He's really messing up. God damn. But, oh yeah, read that already. Found some of this. This is a paywalled article. I don't want to give Medium $50 a year or so. But it says 61% of young adults confess they are not saving for retirement. And that's kind of messed up. That's kind of really messed up. I've been saving for retirement for about a decade now. I don't have much saved. It's kind of shitty, but I just kind of made peace with the fact that I'm probably going to work till I die, unless something serious shifts the next 30, 40 years. Oh, God, I don't know. That's my big fear, dying at work. Just, like, I'll be filling up a burrito with refried beans, and I'll be at Chipotle. I'll be the oldest guy at Chipotle, and I'll keel over and go face first into the guacamole, and they'll take my corpse and stuff me in the back, and then dock my paycheck posthumously. Oh, yikes. Nightmare. Fuck that bullshit right there, making it sound like young people are choosing not to save. It should say 61% aren't able to save for retirement. I'm in my mid-30s, so not this demographic. And while I was doing great at saving in my mid-20s, the last few years has been extremely hard given inflation and wage stagnation. Yup, I've had to give myself an 8% raise for my 401k just to make it, but it's due to cutting my income in half due to having a kid and wife staying home, also having stupid car debt. 16 grand on the car left to pay. I've only driven shitty cars, so I can't relate to that, but so many people going into debt over cars. Not good. I'm 40, and after the constant inflation, multiple worldwide financial crises, my retirement savings consist of a junk drawer with a large collection of mismatched buttons. Okay. My dyslexia wanted to activate there. Keep telling my wife there's no retirement plan. We're going to work till we die or have no use to society. They're going to ground me into a slurry and feed me to other workers. That's my fate. It's okay, retirement won't mean much when the food and water wars start. I desperately wish I was kidding. Yeah, there's some bleak shit out there. It's it's not good. It's not good. Do. All right. Close these, close these. Today I was interviewed by AI, another interesting story. In order to gain a real interview from a national grocery chain, I was required to perform a video interview with HireView, an online AI assessment tool. To prepare, I was directed to wear a suit with no tie, headphones were prohibited, volume at a decent level with no external mic plugged in, and they said I should be in a well lit, quiet area. The system asked me 5 questions that I had a minute to read each one and ready myself mentally before answering the 3 minutes or less. The system does not allow you to delete your recording and make additional attempts. When answering questions, I was instructed to use a situation, task, action, and result method while maintaining eye contact with the camera and speaking as if it was actually talking with a human being. The system recognizes the specific words you speak, how you say them, your facial expression, and eye movement, which will all be assessed, and the hiring manager will be made aware of your score. If your eye strays from the camera too much or for too long, your score will plummet because it's been programmed to assume this action is a result of reading responses from printed cards or devices in the tester's vicinity. If your score is above a certain number, real humans may review your recorded answers if they wish, and you may be chosen to speak with additional members of the real hiring team. Oh, I thought my cat was over there. I'm worried about him when I don't see him. Real hiring team to continue the interview process. But wait, that's not all. After the 5 questions are asked, I was given 2 games to play. The first game showed me a series of numbers and letters, which I had to memorize and punch in a digital keyboard. They got harder and harder until they asked me to input the displayed numbers and letters backwards. As it got harder, I started to mess up. After round and round of this game was played, I was required to play another game, which had me reviewing shapes and identifying which ones were the same. Not just basic shapes like circles and triangles, they were squares divided into 9 segments with patterns of circles and triangles inside them. And sometimes they were in varying positions of rotating. When playing the game, the player gets immediate feedback if the answer is correct or not. And the more successful you are, the longer it continues. This is what interviewing has become, and it was absolute bullshit. We need to collectively refuse to participate in anything like this. Yeah, I've had to jump through hoops, go on multiple interviews, answer all sorts of stupid questions, all this bullshit. Granted, they were for jobs that paid well. I can understand, wanting to test your, employee applicants, because I've worked at companies that hired absolute dummies. They had very low standards, and it was a real problem for the company. But I remember getting put through hoops sometime, interviewing with some real douchebags, just like working at some of these places. You're desperate, you need a job, and the interviewer is a dick, and you're just like, he's like one of the supervisors or one of the managers or something like that. So you got to put up with him every day, and you're just like, man, is all this really worth it for a paycheck? I got to deal with this guy's shit on top of everything else. And sometimes it's kind of a blessing to not get these jobs. There's a couple jobs I walked out of a couple interviews, but I'll tell those stories later. But yeah, this is really sad and messed up. I don't like this shit. Um, this is just the whole work process. It's just getting worse and worse, and it's making people more miserable than ever. And mental health, and mental illness are at that really bad levels right now. And stress brought on from work, mental health is bad, mental illness is going up, stress from work is going up, anxiety is going up. A lot of people are on antidepressants now, anti-anxiety medications because of work. Working those long hours. It's a fucking mess. I'm not saying that we're all gonna live in some commune or whatever, or we gotta, I don't know, maybe we should live in a commune. What am I trying to counter signal that for? We can sing songs and farm together. We can live as a collective. We can be an autonomous collective. But yeah, this is messed up. But I had one more thing I wanted to cover. Say no to 4x10s. They're trying to trick us into giving up on 4-day work week. I work 4 10s currently, or at least I did before I started cutting my hours. Now we're on 4 9s, and we get like a day off every week because there's no work coming in because of all the upheaval at the big three. Because my work is pretty heavily tied into the auto industry. We make car parts. 4-day work weeks can burn you out. Having Fridays off sounds appealing, but cramming for more work into fewer days turns out to be bad for both companies and their employees. Yeah, those 10-hour days are brutal, dude. And I work in a job, it's not very physical. You're sitting most of the day, but the chairs, of course, the chairs we use are all beaten to shit. They're being held together by tape. They wobble. Some of them are dangerous. They're falling apart. Like the nuts and bolts are falling out of them. They don't turn. They're really uncomfortable. Like the foam inside the chairs is starting to poke out. They're all torn up. These chairs are an absolute embarrassment, and the company will not replace them. And I think about that every time I see the owner roll up in his brand new GMC Sierra. Groups like 4-Day Week Global and their international partners advocate for a 4-day, 32-hour work week without any reduction in pay. This is a current trend. The compressed 4-day work week schedule is not a new concept. It should not receive extra attention. My employer did this 32 hours over 4 days with no cut in pay. In our second year, if I change jobs, I'll be negotiating a 4-day work week. Yeah. Yep. Oh, Lord have mercy. But yeah, that can be brutal. Those long days, man. I've worked 12-hour shifts, 13-hour shifts. You know, I remember I had 2 jobs at once, and I remember they kept scheduling me on the same day. But one job scheduled me on days I had to work at my other job. So I'd get up in the morning at like 6, drive almost an hour to work, and work there for 9 hours, and then drive an hour to my next job, work there for 8 hours, all while getting no sleep. Up all night. I worked midnight shift doing this shit. And it was a fucking nightmare. It was an absolute... I did it a few times. And I remember telling my dad about it, and he's just like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you serious? You know, I told my friends about it. I know, like, there's a lot of professions where you do work doubles a lot and stuff like that. But, I mean, some nurse is probably watching this and just, like, rolling her eyes. But that's rough, man. That's rough. You get burned out real goddamn quick. That's a big problem, the burnout. But I just wanted to go over a few things for you guys, discuss some stuff I found on Reddit, some other stuff regarding work, and listen to my awesome AI music. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys for right now. If you guys have any stories you want to share, leave them in the comment section down below. Also, like, comment, and subscribe. Give me the attention I so desperately need. We'll definitely be making more videos about what, I don't know. I'm kind of just flying by the seat of my pants here. But if you enjoy this content, let me know, and maybe I'll beg you for money. But just a like and a subscribe will do great now. Okay, thank you guys all so much for watching. I will see you guys later.